While the world was watching this war escalate between the US, Israel, and Iran, I was crossing the border by myself from Jordan into Israel to report inside the West Bank independently on another conflict that's unfolding on the ground there. When I got to the Israeli side of the border crossing, Israeli officers took my passport into a back room. They didn't explain why, and then proceeded to hold it there for, 30, 45 minutes, and then questioned me about who I was coming to see, why I was coming. Eventually, though, I did get through. From there, I took a taxi to the Palestinian village of Turmisaya, and I was once again met with restrictions once I got there, this time, though, in the form of a steel gate. The gate's controlled by Israeli forces, just like the rest of the surrounding area. They decide when it's open, they decide when it's closed, and it's locked with a padlock. And I asked my host, Yasser, I said, what's the deal with the gate? Who are they trying to keep out? And he looked at me plainly and was like, they're not trying to keep anyone out. They're trying to lock us in. So if there's like a medical emergency, and that happened a few days ago, somebody got shot and by one of the settlers, and if the gates are closed, it adds an hour to get to the nearest hospital, right?
Absolutely. And for someone who's bleeding, adding an hour to their trip to the hospital is a difference between life and death, basically.
And speaking of Yasser, he's a Palestinian American. He spent 35 years living in California in the Anaheim area until he moved back to Turmisaya to be closer to he and his wife's family that still live there.
Since 1987, from 1987 to 2022, basically. Felt like, and I think I owe a debt to my birthplace to come back and live here. And be on this land and try to send a message out to the world of what's going on, because very few people know what Palestinians are facing.
And to be clear, Yasser left a really great life in California. He was successful. He worked as an attorney. He started his own law firm. One of his 4 sons now runs that law firm. And his story is not unique. There were so many Palestinians who I met in the West Bank who immigrated to the US or were born in the US and came back, who led really successful lives. They wanted to come back to this land that has been in their family for hundreds of years and pay homage to that, especially during these trying times.
I was born and raised in New York City, my kids as well. We always hear America and the American government, they always have its citizens back. But when it comes to us, I guess we're not considered citizens, we're second-hand citizens, I guess.
And just to give you the numbers here, around 80% of the village residents in Turmisaya hold American citizenship. But even though they have these ties to the US, it doesn't seem to prevent the village or its residents from the violence that's being orchestrated by Israeli settlers in the area or the Israeli forces themselves.
Even to have my kids come play in the backyard is, it's scary. Originally, I had only this wall over here, and I had to get the extra protection so they don't jump over. But even then, they can throw rocks or Molotovs or
Do they
anything.
do that still?
Oh, yeah, of course. Always.
And I'll admit, I came here thinking that being an American, it offered some level of protection. I think a lot of us feel that way when we visit foreign countries. You think your government's going to have your back. But that was pretty much wiped off the table when I visited the grave of the 14-year-old who was shot 21 times by the IDF. This kid was raised in New Jersey, born and raised in New Jersey. He was visiting his family there in the village of Turmisaya when this happened.
He was shot 21 times in his clothes, 21 bullet holes in his body. You were taking a video of him throwing rocks. I mean, you had him in plain sight. Why couldn't you arrest him? Why couldn't you detain him?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you put him in jail if this is a crime? Why do you have to shoot him 21 times?
Just in the last few years, 9 American citizens have been killed by either Israeli settlers or the IDF. And what's even crazier is that no criminal prosecutions have happened in any of these cases. The violence has just become normalized. I got to Turmisaya just one day after 3 Palestinian men were killed in an Israeli settler attack in the village next door.
بس أنا ولا عمري توقعت إنه يسويها ويستشهد ولا عمري لأنه بحب الحياة وبحب أهله وبحب أولاده يعني خطرش عمره في بالي إنه يروح.
These types of attacks have been skyrocketing across the West Bank, especially since October 7th, and now even more so since the war with Iran broke out. Land loss, funerals, and fear have really become a part of daily life, it seems like. In the next episode of From the West Bank, I'll show you how a single tent pitched on a Palestinian's land, which has been in their family for hundreds of years, can quickly turn into an Israeli settler outpost and eventually take over thousands of acres, which is illegal according to international law. I'm Emma Withrow, and this is episode 1 of my independent reporting series from the West Bank.